It's Monday night. Welcome to Monday Night Comics. Only on Comics with Dan.
Welcome to Monday Night Comics. I'm Dan, and I am running a little bit late, but I'm here. I wasn't sure if I was actually going to be able to stream it all tonight, so I'm glad that I was able to. I do not have any guests with me this evening, so it's just me. I understand if you want to leave now. I know the guests are generally the most interesting part, but it'll just be me talking about comics for a little bit. So what I want to talk about today is some books that I have on my pull list. I didn't have any pulls this past week. So I actually had 2 straight weeks where I didn't technically have any pulls. I ended up 2 weeks ago still picking some stuff up. As I talked about Ice Cream Man, and I talked about I don't recall the other book, but either way, I do still have some coming up this week. It's actually 5 books, which is a fairly big week for me. So let's get into it. Let's get into what we have coming up. Okay. All right. So this is what my pull list looks like this week. So we have Absolute Batman number 5. We have Aquaman number 2, Batman and Robin number 18, Deadpool number 11, which I'll get to because that's anyone that follows my pull list at all will know that looks a little strange, and Transformers number 17. So let's talk about Absolute Batman first. So last issue with Absolute Batman, it was a bit of a origin issue, and it was decently well done. I know that Nick Dragotta did not do the main art, which I think a lot of people were a little bent out of shape over that. I think not really for a good reason, because it was always the plan to do that, and they made that pretty clear. It's not like he was only able to do 3 issues and already needed a break, right? It's just that's the way they wanted to have a guest artist, and so it makes sense, right? Now we have issue number 5 coming up, right? That's this week, and so the solicit we have here: will the party end here for Absolute Batman? Which I don't trust these solicits, because back in issue 2, I believe. Let's go back. I'm going to criticize this solicit. Yes, it's issue number 2. So on the cover we have Batman and Alfred, and at the end of this solicit it says it's Batman versus Alfred Pennyworth. Well, that is not what happens in this issue, all right, at all. So I am calling BS on these solicits, but we will humor them and read it anyway. So will the party end here? Alluding to the party animals. Hilarious joke there. Will the party end here for Absolute Batman? With his friends' lives at stake, will a broken, beaten, and ultimately defeated Bruce Wayne finally compromise and give up both himself and his morals to Black Mask? Or does he have something even bigger than himself to help? And what does this have to do with Mayor James Gordon and his relationship with the young Bruce Wayne? All this and more in the penultimate issue to the first arc of Absolute Batman. So I can't help but feel like this has been this story has really gone downhill from issue number 1. I really liked issue number 1. I thought we were in for just an unbelievable arc, but it really hasn't excited me that much since then. So I mean, I'm hesitant. It's not really in any danger of me dropping it. I plan on sticking it out, and I want to keep pulling this one at least until we get the promised crossover between between this and the regular, universe. But it it's just been a little it's just been a little slow. I don't think I don't think that issues 2 through 4 have lived up to issue number 1. Um, and maybe it was just because it was a new exciting thing. I'm not sure. But regardless of that, I I don't know that it's good that we're 5 issues in and I'm already starting to kind of get a little bored of it. So I don't feel as excited to pick this one up as I would perhaps some of my other ones. So, but that being said, the art's always good. I am excited to see long term where this goes. So I'm still on board. And I don't hate it. I really don't. It's just I just feel like it could be better. I feel like it should at least be close to where we were at with issue number 1. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me. So my next pull here is Aquaman. So Aquaman, I really liked last issue, right? So the last issue ended with a giant Omega dark side symbol. And so you knew that it's going to be extremely tied into this absolute universe, because a lot of that has to do with the death of Darkseid. And so, like looking at the solicit here, Atlantis obliterated after the shocking events of Aquaman number 1. I would agree, fairly shocking. Arthur Curry is now a king without a home, but is hope truly lost? The answer lies in Aquaman's mysterious new water morphing abilities, which it's not misogyny to give Aquaman Mira's abilities, especially considering that we we just finished a story where people are swapping powers. I'm sure Mira's going to get it back. And it's also not misogyny to have Mira spend time with their child. All right. So just to clear that out of the way. The answer lies in Aquaman's mysterious new water morphing abilities and a portal into the unknown. Earth's uncanny undersea hero must train like never before to stand a chance of recovering Atlantis from its untimely apocalypse. Or should we say apocalypse? You have to read it. You can't just hear it, but they spelled apocalypse the way the planet is. Ride the wave for the biggest, wettest adventure of the year in this second issue extravaganza, brought to you by the tide-turning talents of Jeremy Adams and John Timms. So, the first issue, it was set up. It was all set up. It's going to end up being important to have read that first issue when moving along, but I think that that's pretty understandable that you are starting an arc and starting a run at issue number 1, and you need to read number 1 to know what's going on. But Aquaman, it's taking him sort of into uncharted waters. See what I did there? So we see him fighting all these monsters in all these covers, and I think that that's a really cool sort of unexplored way to do this. Now, I haven't read a ton of Aquaman. I've read a decent amount. I read the Rebirth run. I read some of Peter David. I don't think I have read some of Jeff Johns' run, but I like that they aren't overdoing it with his supporting cast. I feel like that's kind of an issue that comes about in current Superman books a lot, is that there are all these characters, and I mean, they're liked characters. I like a lot of them, but they end up taking up more page time away from Superman, which obviously the nature of Superman, like he wouldn't mind sharing the spotlight. However, I would really like it if Superman was a book focused on Superman, and then we could have Action Comics be Superman and friends and family. Um, and so, and I think the same thing with Batman. Batman should be about Batman, and Detective Comics should be about the Bat family. And I think that's probably the best way to do it. And I like that Aquaman is getting center stage here. I think that's the best way to do it. And I know that not everyone loves that because his supporting cast is revered. However, for me, it's a plus, right? And the fact that that ending of the last issue, I don't know what I gave this before. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It's a lot of setup, right? So it's not overly exciting until the last page. But it sets the stage for what's coming, which is why I'm particularly excited about this issue, because we've got the stage setting out of the way. And now we can just look at the actual story. To me, this is almost like issue 1 was more of an issue 0. And this is the real issue number 1, where like the real meat starts. So very excited about this one. I love the cover. I really like the logo that they're going with, the Aquaman with the second A in Aqua Man being his logo, or his emblem rather. And so I love the orange contrast against this blue cover. I think it's great. Oh man, I didn't realize the League did previews. That's awesome. I need to spend more time on the League website. John Tim's art is pretty good. All right, and so there's that Omega symbol. Hype. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that the League did that. And that's image 1 of 3. He is the Dark Tide. A lot of people aren't fans of the beard, but I like the sort of combination of like that long-haired grizzly Arthur and like the clean-cut like blonde Arthur, like bright blonde rather. So I do like that. Let's see if we can. I didn't realize that we have preview pages to look at. So we're going to take a look at, we'll get there eventually. All right, see if there's preview pages for this. There are. Yeah, see, Nick Dragotta's art is really, really great. Absolute Batman, the Zoo. Okay, I did have a theory that Thomas Wayne was alive. I think I might have mentioned it on this particular show even. I don't believe that theory anymore. So yeah, looks pretty good. I'm excited for it. I think it'll be a good time. All right. What do we have next? Batman and Robin number 18. So this is like quietly been one of my favorite books. It's even getting me to kind of like Damian Wayne a little bit, which is crazy, because I don't like Damian Wayne. I think he's a brat. And so I think it's a really like well-developed story. I like that, at least from my knowledge. So get in the comments and tell me that I'm wrong and I'm a horrible Batman fan if I am incorrect here, but um, I think that the I like that Philip Kennedy Johnson's not borrowing a bunch of stuff from prior runs. This feels original. I don't know, like Memento. Like I don't know if he just in style he kind of reminds me of Gentleman Ghost, but I don't know anything about Gentleman Ghost, so I can't say if he's actually like him or not. I love the lettering that they do for Memento. Let's see if we have any of it in here. This whole time thing, like I love the idea of the idea of having like the set time. I mean, he has it down to like milliseconds, I believe. I mean, look at that. It's 8:03, 56, 41. Like that's crazy specific. But I feel like my brain doesn't work in the right way to make this like work, right? Like for me to understand when things are happening or like the time between. I almost feel like maybe I should like write them down. But like this is great art. Oh, and I forgot that at the end of the last one that Jason Todd shows up. Yeah, this is awesome. I hate that Jason. I hate that Red Hood costume though. Give him like the old Red Hood. Like I like his old costume. It's so much better. So they're talking about Memento. Oh, and he's got Batman seeing things. Well, I think it'll be good. I well, let's take a look at the solicit here. So, Memento's gruesome rampage across Gotham continues. A hospital erupts in flames. A boat careens into a dock. Fresh corpses are found in the ruins of Arkham Asylum. These are but a few of Gotham's historical atrocities committed in disturbing copycat-like fashion by the foul creature known only as Memento. While the dynamic duo fails to prevent these heinous acts, the very fabric of their alliance frays and rips. Can Batman withstand losing his city to violence while losing his son to uncertainty? Batman losing his city. I feel like Batman loses his city once a year. I hope that it doesn't actually become a Batman losing his city story, meaning like Memento takes over. Like, like I think that when he says losing his city, they're talking about like, not having control over the violence, right? Not necessarily actual control of the city and it being like like a government state or whatever. I'm just so tired of Batman losing his city. Can Batman withstand losing his city? I I do think it's going to be a solid issue though. I mean, the last two I gave 4.5 stars. I've been really enjoying this a lot, um, and I just wonder how many issues Philip Kennedy Johnson's planning on going. I mean, I see we have Volume One, Memento Part One. So I mean, let's see where it takes us. I mean, it's like I said, it's quietly one of my favorite DC books right now. It's just really solid, and I like the art. And yeah, so good stuff. Let's see what else do we have. Deadpool. Okay, so I did say that we would get to this. Um, I never thought I would ever pull a Deadpool book. However, we are getting part one. Let me make sure that this is correct. Yes, Pools of Blood part one. And it's a crossover with Miles Morales Spider Man. I finally pulled the trigger on putting Miles Morales Spider-Man on my pull list. I have been talking about putting it on my pull list for ages, and I always come up with reasons not to, and the reason usually being I need to make room for books, or room in my budget rather. But I finally just decided to go for it, and there's a crossover happening over the next couple of issues with Deadpool, and so I'm going to go all in, not DC all in, and I'm going to pull the Deadpool books for this particular crossover, and pull the Miles Morales books, obviously, and we'll see where it takes us. Let's look at this list here. So Deadpool and daughter embark on their first major job to take out Spider-Man. It's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it, or at least they do if they want to get paid. And the events of recent issues have put them in quite a pickle, which I don't know what that is. So we'll see where it goes. Pools of Blood begins here with part 1 and continues in this month's Miles Morales Spider-Man number 30. So, and that's where I'll be picking up Miles Morales Spider-Man. I mean, I've liked the issues that I've read, so it's just a matter of time before I finally picked it up. Let's look at the preview here. Oh, is that a variant? I don't know if it's a variant cover or not, but oh no, it's just like the title page. That's still really cool though. Deadpool, Miles Morales, Spider-Man. We got that cool logo where they combine together. We got 5 preview pages. Okay, so it looks like they're going to talk about what happened before. So there's Taskmaster. I guess we can start with the state of this Deadpool Daughters LLC. Absolute wreck. Worst of all, guys mostly blame is still out there. Death grip. He killed me, but I got better. Currently trying to get enough dough together to find a weapon to kill him. It looks like maybe he teamed up with Taskmaster. That might actually be an interesting story. So if you have read this this Deadpool arc, get in the comments and tell me if I'm missing out and if I should read this. Now, disclaimer, I don't really like Deadpool. I think he's kind of annoying. I think that he's annoying in comics. I think that while Ryan Reynolds does a great job playing him and keeping him accurate to the comics, I also find that annoying. It's just not my favorite. So let's see. The job is killing Spider-Man. Dad, I don't think we can. I mean, we can't really do this, can we? Oh man. Well, I don't know where this is going to go. I don't think you just appreciate how badly we need this money. I'll absolutely kill that guy. All right. Well, I mean, you know what? I just saw somebody commented that we did it. We got over 10 issues, which is interesting because I do kind of wonder if crossing over with Spider-Man was an attempt to boost sales on Deadpool, which historically has really short runs. I mean, it could be. So who knows? But yeah, I haven't pulled a Marvel book in quite some time. I pulled a Star Wars book. I pulled Star Wars Inquisitors, which I did not like. And it's rare that I straight up dislike a book, and I really liked the first issue of that, and then by the last issue, I really did not like it. It felt like a waste. But like an actual true Marvel book, like Marvel superhero book, was probably the last one I pulled might have been Fantastic Four back when it was like issues 1 through 5. So it's been a minute since I pulled a Marvel book. But all right. And the last one on my pull list is Transformers. Now, I've been struggling with Transformers lately because I liked when at the beginning that they were doing these character introductions and this big reveal at the end of like every other issue. It was fun. I knew most of them, but it's starting to get to the point where I don't know who all the reveals are in each issue. And I don't remember. Oh, yeah. So I remember I know who was revealed in the last issue. I'm not going to say, but a debut of an all new character. That's kind of cool. That is cool. That is a pretty cool idea. But I think that the Energon universe in general is going fantastic. I guess I'll get to that, but like as far as Transformers is concerned, I do wonder when we're going to see this. This book is the one that I think has been intertwined with other stories the least. So in Void Rivals, you have the like other or like Transformer showing up, right? So it feels like Void Rivals is very intertwined with the Transformers and Energon universe. You don't see anything from G.I. Joe in Void Rivals, at least not to my knowledge that I recall. Oh no, I'm sorry. There's that Python Law or whatever it is, but there is some GI Joe in there, so I stand corrected there. That I believe she shows up first in Cobra Commander, and so what I've really been enjoying about the GI Joe side of the Energon universe is that it's not fully dependent on what's happening in Transformers or Void Rivals, but it's very clearly linked, right? So basically, like Void Rivals is becoming all about Energon. Like the fact, like if you're not caught up on Void Rivals, then maybe skip this. But a few issues back, they revealed that those gems on the heads of the Zertonians and Agorians are called Energon ports. And so apparently they can use Energon to, power up something, do something. We don't know what it is yet. At least I don't think we know. So I like that there's that connection, right? And then on top of that, you have Cobra Commander and Destro on Earth have found Energon and are using it to essentially wage war. Meanwhile, the G.I. Joe team is taking on Cobra Commander and Destro, but at the same time are on the lookout for the giant transforming robots that they met in issue number 3 of Transformers, I believe. But the entire Duke miniseries is about how Duke is traumatized by the fact that he saw Starscream just crush his co-pilot. And so that plays such a huge role. And I can't help but feel like the fact that it's possible that the Zertonians and Agorians are going to war or basically feuding over Energon rather than, what they're leading everyone else to believe. And they're feuding over Energon. Cobra Commander and Destro are using Energon to create weapons, to wage war, to take over, right? And then the obvious Transformers connection to the Energon, right? It's all going to culminate into a storyline. It has to. Now, what I'm interested in seeing is how are they going to handle this, right? Is it going to be, because at this point you can enjoy any of the Energon universe books without reading what's going on in the other books. You know, I'd argue that maybe you'd be better off having read Transformers before reading like Duke, because you feel the impact a little bit more, but I think you can still enjoy it without it. That being said, I think a big problem with like Marvel and DC is that they essentially they hammer you with these events, right? Which the Energon universe has not done. This has been going on for, what Transformers is issue 17. I don't know that Transformers has taken a break yet. So a year and a half, right? And even if they have taken a break, we're anywhere from a year and a half to 2 years, right, into this Energon universe. There have been no events, no real crossovers, other than like the sort of cameos or like subplot lines, right? And so I just think that Robert Kirkman needs to be very careful about how he decides to set up this event, because it's going to happen. It has to happen. It's just there's too much pointing towards these stories intertwining. Now, is it going to be its own separate miniseries? That would probably be my vote. I wouldn't mind, just because I'm reading all of the books anyway. I wouldn't mind there being crossovers or tie-in issues. But I also think it would work to have a miniseries, 6 issues that essentially Void Rivals takes a break, G.I. Joe takes a break, and Transformers takes a break, and this 6-issue miniseries is what takes its place. I think that would be what's best for storytelling. I don't know if it's what's best money-wise, right? Which I think is why DC and Marvel tend to have an alpha issue and an omega issue, and they have tie-ins, and they have one-shots, and basically how can we milk this event for all the money that we can get. And I like some event books too, but it's the fact of the matter is that DC and Marvel are looking at this as a business, and I'm sure that Robert Kirkman and Image Comics are also looking at this in a business manner. But I do kind of hope, just given Image's reputation for sort of being the publisher of the people, that we see them make a decision that sort of leans more heavily towards the storytelling aspect as opposed to the money-making aspect. And I think that if that's what happens, if they make that decision and it makes the readers happy, that they will end up being rewarded by, having, loyal readers, like ones that are satisfied with what they're being given. Rather than like angry Batman fans who are going to still buy Batman anyway because they've been buying Batman for 30 years, or Spider-Man fans that are upset because they've been buying Spider-Man for 30 years, but he's still not what they want him to be. But I just think that having this eventual crossover set up in a way that will make it easy for current readers and easy for new readers alike to enjoy and stay caught up is going to be the best way to do it. One thing you can look at is that I really like, and I haven't read it yet, but and I'm going to actually look for it here. the Energon universe, not Energon universe, that's what we're talking about, the Energon universe. The Massiverse. The Massiverse recently released this. And so this is Radiant Black, the story so far, right? And so this is, to me, such a genius idea. And apparently, and so like right here, there's a comment from Anomaly 616, shout out. It's honestly really impressive how they were able to condense 30 issues worth of a story into such a short amount of space. And so, you know, I'm sure that there are people getting into comics that are like, well, I don't love the fact, or I want it, Radiant Black looks cool, but there are so many issues of it. There's so much story that's already happened. And now we have this split timeline thing going on where there's issue 30 and 30.5. And so, I mean, it's intimidating. And one of the things that Radiant Black had going for it originally was that it was new, it was fresh, and you could jump in. Well, Radiant Black's now getting to the point where it's becoming this long run, right? I mean, it's been years, and we're on issue 31 or whatever we're at. And so the story so far is such a good idea because and they gave it away for free too. So it gets everyone caught up, right? It shows that Kyle Higgins just wants people to read it. He wants people to read Radiant Black. He doesn't necessarily want a whole bunch of, I mean, obviously he wants to get paid, but he doesn't just want a whole bunch of money. You know, he could just say like, well, if you want to read Radiant Black, then you can, buy the trades, you can buy the deluxe hardcover, whatever ways that make him money. Instead, he decided, I'm going to give this out for free that summarizes the story so that people can catch up. I think that it would be a mistake for Image not to do, or for Robert Kirkman to not follow in the steps of Kyle Higgins here and do something similar to get people caught up on the Energon universe. I don't know when he would do that. This feels like a natural point for the Massiverse because I believe that they just finished this split storyline thing. So it makes sense to do it this way. But yeah, I thought this was such a good idea. I should definitely read this, even though I'm not all the way caught up. So maybe I should wait. But I'm about 4 volumes through, so I haven't started like the Catalyst War stuff yet. So, but I think it's going to be. But I mean, this conversation started as a Transformers, or this topic started as a Transformers topic, but yeah. Okay. Oh, so there was something else. Oh yeah, let me stop sharing. And because there was another book that I wanted to talk about that I got a little sneak preview at, and it is going to be here. So looking at, so this is a really cool feature of League of Comic Geeks is you can look at the Discover tab, right? And you've got all these cool things, pick of the week, indie pick of the week, and so on. But looking at publishers, you can look at publishers specifically. Okay. I'm going to go off topic here and just realize that we're getting a Shadow story, although it's a one-shot. That is a little bit of a bummer, but I do still think I'm going to pull this. All right. Not to get distracted, but so you can look at publishers here, right? And so the one that I want to look at is Mad Cave. So I hit M and I go to Mad Cave, right? So I am behind on Flash Gordon, but I am not behind on Dick Tracy. So this is the Valentine special. I started reading this. I did not finish it yet, but I'm very excited to do so. And it's, I mean, we'll just look at the solicit here. So when a string of murders occurs on the set of a romantic movie filming in the city, Dick Tracy is on the case. In this world of glitz and glamour, where everyone tells a story but no one tells the truth, Tracy races against the clock to separate fact from fiction and stop this killer before they fulfill their promise to strike again on Valentine's Day. Plus, while investigating a series of bizarre deaths, Dick Tracy finds himself transported into the life of his dreams. But what is lurking behind this locus of love? Find out in the Dick Tracy Valentine's Day special. So this has two stories in it. One's by Michael Morecci and Alex Segura, and the other is by Steve Orlando. It's like a separate case from what he has going on in his main story right now. But I would love it if they would just do this. I don't know if it needs to be like for holidays or what, but just coming out with like one shots of like Dick Tracy, like sort of like side missions or side mysteries rather. Because like what I read of this so far was really good. And I like the idea of like sort of like one mystery. Yeah, so I like this one a lot. And this one comes out this Wednesday, the 12th. Yeah. And so I really enjoyed what I read of that one so far. And so that's from Mad Cave. I do need to catch up on Flash Gordon and the Body Trade. I'm behind on those. The one that caught my attention is this one here called Pastime. So let's take a look at this. I think this said it was recently announced April 2nd. Okay, Henry Hayes could have been the best baseball player anybody ever saw if only his dark affliction didn't prevent him from playing in the daylight. A vampire baseball player. But when the barnstorming circuit introduces a new novelty to the game, night baseball under the bright lights, will his dreams of playing pro ball finally be realized, or will his bloody past catch up with him before he gets the chance? From the Midwest fields of the 1920s to the big city lights of today, Pastime is a small town thriller on a national scale. I mean, so the thing is like I don't know that I like what vampires are now, but as I've mentioned before on the channel, like I read not this past Halloween, but the Halloween before that, I read Dracula for the first time and loved it. And I think it's one of the best things I've ever read, comics and no comics. But I have been hard pressed to find more. I've been hard pressed to find more vampire stories that live up to that, which is understandable because Dracula is the original and is still pretty highly regarded. But I mean, I don't know. I have a feeling that this vampire baseball thing could be either really good or like super cheesy. So to be honest, I don't know the creators that well. Joseph Harris. It doesn't look like he has. Oh, it looks like he has some BPDP, BPRD. Why are those different? Doesn't make any sense. It looks like he's got a decent amount of stuff under his belt. I'm probably gonna come off as silly not knowing who he is. Then Russell Mark Olson. Let's look at what else he has. He was on Flash Gordon Quarterly. What story did he do there? Because I like that book. Let's look at the stories here. Which one did he do? Fall of King Vultan? No. Battle of Little Mingo? No. Oh, okay. So he did this Flash Detective Services. It was like a noir um, kind of uh, Flash Gordon story, and in this Flash Gordon Quarterly, and I did like that art. I thought it was really well done. So that is definitely a compelling point for uh, past time, which is funny. A funny play on words. And look, this person doesn't seem to know who Joseph Harris is either. So, okay. But yeah, so the upcoming past time, um, Tommy Lee Edwards on another Gotchamon one shot. I mean, it's highly unlikely that he will miss that because um, he's hit on every single other one. We got other final order cutoff reminders. Browse current titles. Oh yeah, I forgot that Mad Cave is doing a Phineas and Ferb free comic book day issue. I think that's great. I I don't. I feel like I was a little old for when Phineas and Ferb came out to like really be into it, but I I recall having seen some good issues from that, and so Mad Cave's really bringing out the free comic book day game here. We've got Flash Gordon Adventures free comic book day, which I have a review of that book from Franco on my page or on my channel. And there's Phineas and Ferb. There's this Princess Guinevere and King Arthur crossover that looks interesting. Speed Racer, which is being written by David Pepose, who is doing he's doing Space Ghost. So that'll be pretty cool. Chris Batista, um, so he's the cover artist here. Um, I don't know if he's going to do the interiors or not, but Chris Batista does the interiors for Gotchamon, and I think that he does like a pretty decent job of keeping it true to the like show in Gotchamon. Although I haven't watched the show, I've just seen clips of it. Um, I think that sometimes the facial expressions that he puts on things can just be a little bit bland. But yeah, so that's what Mad Cave has going on. As far as let's take a look at Boom Studios here and see what they have going on. Okay, so Lawful was really good. That's another one that I just like didn't get caught up on. Oh, okay. So this is issues 1 through 4. So I did read that. So I am caught up on that one. So I definitely recommend Lawful. Basically it's a story about um, a kid and his friend. Well, they live in this city where when you do something wrong, you physically turn into a monster. So like if you shoplift, you grow scales on your arm. If you kill somebody, you grow like giant fangs or whatever. I don't know. It varies, right? Um, and so uh, Sung, who is like the main character, his like father, I guess, is like this not infamous, but like law abiding citizen, right? So it puts a lot of pressure on him, and he is destined to be a part of these like peacekeeper people, right? Well, there ends up being just a boatload of corruption in this, and like intrigue, right? So uh it's definitely good. I recommend it. I did not think I was going to like it when I first saw the solicit, but I gave it a shot, and I ended up thinking it was pretty great. So that's what Boom has going. This Jim Henson Presents. So like I'm a big like Muppets fan, but um I'm really not too hip to his other like, you know, properties. So I think that that's probably why I didn't really love the first issue that much. But that could, just be me. I did just see that this has Brennan Lee Mulligan, which I think is great because I like watching Make Some Noise on YouTube. It's like just a really funny like variety show, and he's too funny. So yeah, so the fact that he's writing a story on this is kind of cool. So I might check that out. That's what Boom has. Let's see, recently announced titles. Graveyard Club. That's that's like a continuation. Oh, and so they're doing a VR Troopers, which is confusing to me because those look exactly like Power Rangers. I know they're supposed to be a lot like them, but so they showed up in Power Rangers Prime, and I had no idea who they were, so it had no impact on me at all. And then I was told in comments and later on that like, oh, the VR Troopers, like they were like it was like another show that was on during Power Rangers and so on. And I had never heard of them. I will still probably, I mean, if it's a free comic book day issue, then why not? But I will still probably be reading that. I just thought that was kind of interesting. Do we have anything else from Boom that's coming? Okay, so this one is called The Last Boy. And before I even look at who's doing this cover, I guarantee you it's Mike Deodato Jr. Because that looks exactly like Dustin Hoffman. Oh, I was wrong. Okay, it's Dan Panosian, which I just wonder if this is actually related to the movie Hook, because like that looks exactly like Dustin Hoffman. Years after Peter Pan's adventures with Wendy Darling, the boy who wouldn't grow up is now the last one in Neverland and still cling to his adventurous youth. So that's the opposite of Hook. Meanwhile, in London, Wendy also yearns for childhood and its freedom from responsibility as she rails against the transition to adulthood and her family's expectations. As their desires create a mirror of fantasy and reality, a disastrous encounter with the aging Captain Hook becomes the catalyst for Peter's realization that Neverland is growing up without him. But will two of them find each other once again to carry on their age-old adventures, or is this truly the final threshold of their adolescence in this modern take on a classic tale from the legendary writer Dan Panosian and rising star Alessio Avallone? This looks great. I'm very excited about this one. I love the movie Hook, and so I'm sure that this is going to be awesome. And there's no cover there, but still, recently announced. That's pretty cool. I like that one. I don't know. Let's look at what other publishers we've got. Let's see what Image has going on. See, there's a lot of this that I just don't know. And see, I probably could have done a similar. I did a video on Christmas horror books. To be honest, I do feel like I'm getting a little horrored out. So it's just a little much. But either way, I'm sure I'll come back to it. But I could have done a similar video with Valentine's Day, because it seems like they also have a lot of these like specials going on and stuff like that. But so you got Creepshow and Love, recently announced titles, Moonshine Bigfoot. I think that this sounds like it's going to be just wonderful. Buzzard County 1981, Moonshine Bigfoot. Moonshine Bigfoot spends his days making a living while outwitting clueless cops, reckless rivals, and buffoonish Bigfoot hunters. All is hunky-dory until he draws the attention of an Illuminati-esque cabal. With his partner in life and crime, Amethyst, our hairy hero is about to learn that some problems can't be handled just by jumping them in a souped-up Mach 1. I don't know what to think of that. This writer, the person that created this is the only thing he's created. So like this is like it means that he must have thought about this for a long time. I need to find out more about this because this sounds hilarious. Moonshine Bigfoot. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that. That was recently announced. It's coming out in April. Moonshine Bigfoot. Oh, No One. I love No One. Okay. Let's check out Oni Press real quick, and then we'll close out here. Calavera PI. I went through 2 issues of that. I still need to get caught up since that's coming up here. I read 1 and 2. It's pretty good. It's very it's all by one person, Marco Finnegan. He does the writing, the art, coloring, lettering, everything. So and the art is definitely the shining star. I think it's only out of 4 issues. So I'm going to be making a video about this Out of Alcatraz series. So keep your eyes peeled for that because keep your eyes peeled for that because it's going to be. I loved this book. I got to read issue number 1 and it was fantastic. Definitely recommend that. Yeah, I mean, let's look at this Free for All. Self-contained one-shot that delivers a brutal new vision of capitalism by combat. I've never seen anyone comment on capitalism before, so. All right. I think that's going to be where we leave it this evening. I thank you for joining me and watching. I appreciate the patience for my tardiness, but thanks for watching, and make sure you keep your eyes peeled for those other videos that I mentioned. And like this video and subscribe to the channel, please. It helps kind of get word out and things like that. You can also find me over on Blue Sky at Comics with Dan. Same with Twitter/X, Comics with Dan, and Instagram, Comics with Dan. So thank you very much, and everyone have a good night.